Brian, it's so good to have you here on Some Fans. Thank you for joining us. You have quite a story that I'd love for everyone to know about a tattoo that you have. Now, most people who have Stones-related tattoos have the Stones tongue, tattooed on, but yours is a little bit more unique.
Well, yeah. So I'm a big fan of the Rolling Stones. That's probably not too surprising considering we're here right now. And in let's see here, in 2022, I had a friend who's still my very good close friend, Dave. And he was going through a rough time, and I've been going through a rough time. And we thought about things that kind of brought us together. And one of those things is the Stones, because I DJ and he drums, and we've toured all around Asia. And we've always kind of laughed about some special Stones moments. And of course, one that comes to mind is when they were recording the Dirty Work album, I believe it was, and they had a meeting in the Netherlands. And there's the famous story about Charlie Watts punching out Mick Jagger. And so we would laugh about that moment a lot. And so I decided to memorialize my friendship with my friend Dave, getting a tattoo of that moment on my back. So went down to Shenzhen. Well, I had some friends in Shanghai, my buddy Oscar and his partner. I did as much research as we could to find all the resources. They were eating salmon. They're over the canals, right? And over Amsterdam, we did as much as we could. I had my friends model out the punching scene. And then I went down to Shenzhen and got it tattooed.
Beautiful.
And so I have that very specific and special moment in Stones history because my buddy is a drummer, and that's the ultimate Charlie Watts story, right?
Put on his best suit.
Yeah, so just to recount the story very quickly, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards came back drunk one night to Amsterdam to the hotel, and Mick was wearing Keith's wedding jacket, and Mick drunkenly calls up Charlie, and he says, "Where's my drummer?" And of course, very meticulously, Charlie Watts put back on his suit, and he came downstairs, and he grabbed Mick Jagger by the lapel, and he punched him right across the head, almost knocking him into the canal. Keith had to retrieve him, almost knocking him into the salmon. But Charlie Watts famously said something to the effect of, "I'm not your drummer, you're my singer." And so it's a great story. And I showed it to Steve Lillywhite, who gave his tacit approval at the very least because he was
nice.
Recording those sessions. So, yeah, that's my Rolling Stones tattoo. I'm very proud of it.
I'm giving you the award for the best tattoo, Stones-related tattoo ever. Hands down.
Me. Tattoo you. Tattoo you. There we go. So, yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think it's a fun one. I've got a bunch of, I'm a DJ and I travel around, so I go to different cities, and especially when I go to a new place, I get a tattoo to commemorate it. And that's my Shenzhen tattoo dedicated to my friend and, of course, the world's greatest rock and roll band, the Rolling Stones.
Now, you mentioned you're a DJ, and so you were born in the U.S., right?
Yes, sir. Born in Florida.
And you relocated to Shanghai. Unbelievable jump there. You brought your love for the Stones all the way out there, too. So it must have been quite an event when the Stones played there back in 2014.
Absolutely. It was super exciting. I mean, it wasn't too much of a shocker because they had previously played in Shanghai and in China, but I had never seen the Stones before, and so I was extremely excited. And I got involved as I could. I ended up DJing a pre-party for the event before at this barbecue restaurant called Bubba's, and then we all took a party bus out to the show, and it was really special. I had seen some great concerts before, but when the Stones play places out in Asia, and I'm sure other places as well, you're playing for an audience that maybe hasn't had historically the opportunity to see the Stones. And so my buddy Jelcha, who's from Darkhan, Mongolia, out in the countryside, or the Hudo, as they say, he was someone who, when I was living in Mongolia, because before I lived in China, I lived in the country of Mongolia, and I introduced a lot of rock and roll music. I did a radio show that was broadcast in Mongolia and the United States. And so I really kind of tried to keep the rock and roll fire spirits going, hang fire and all that. So, and he came down, and I got tickets, and we sat there together, and he got an opportunity to see the Stones. I got an opportunity to see the Stones. It was amazing. It was the tour that Mick Taylor joined the Stones on, and that was tremendous to see. Three great Stones guitarists. Keith, Ronnie, and Mick Taylor, and Bobby Keys was still on sax at the time, and so it was a fantastic experience. And yeah, you can't beat it. A couple of striking moments from the show. One, that apparently for the big concerts in China, you have to submit your songs to the censors, and apparently, I'm 99% sure it was Honky Tonk Woman. They had done it the first show in Shanghai, but for this one, for some reason, it was omitted. And Mick Jagger made a kind of droll comment about how maybe they didn't play it quite as well the first time. So this time they weren't allowed to. So that was a little unfortunate that we didn't get to see that. And then Mick introduced all the members of the band, but while he was swinging around, he went, Ronnie and Keith, and he went Bobby Keys and everyone. He's like, okay, I'm done. But he forgot to mention Charlie. And so Keith grabbed the microphone and said, and don't forget Charlie Watts. And so that was a great moment.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah, it was a little funny. I mean, he's been introducing the guys for, 5 decades and more at that point. So that was a little unfortunate. But no, we didn't. The very first show in Shanghai, the one I didn't go to before I arrived there in 2009, I think it was 2008. They had this legendary Chinese rock star Sui Jian join them, and he messed up the lyrics of the song, which was unfortunate. And still, the Rolling Stones did post that show and that performance online of Wild Horses. So, but no special guest for that one. But seeing Mick Taylor and especially them doing Midnight Rambler was just him eyes focused on Mick as he danced and grooved around. It was amazing. And
I remember seeing clips of Taylor at that show in Shanghai, and I don't know if he was doing it at that particular show or some other show on that Asian tour, but he was really going wild on some feedback on his guitar.
Yes.
And it was just like wailing and shaking the whole building, and like, holy God, what year is this? 1973. All of a sudden, it was wild.
He was amazing. Yeah, he had his eyes focused on Mick as he grooved, and he was getting feedback from the guitar. And yeah, the Midnight Rambler was definitely my favorite part of the show, and it was wonderful to experience.
Lucky you. You mentioned that as a DJ you were instrumental in bringing rock and roll to all these different places that didn't have it before. So you must always have Stones music on constantly or playing it constantly. What would you say are your top 5 Stones songs?
Well, so here we are. So I decided for my top 5 Stone songs, I'd pick one from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the aughts. That's how I like to stay organized with things. When I've done lists about Elvis and some other guys I really love, that's what I kind of do. So for the 60s, I picked from this guy, Midnight Rambler, like I talked about. To me, that's maybe the quintessential Stone song. It's dirty, it's creepy. Guitar work is great. Mick is fantastic on it. And seeing it live with Mick Taylor certainly cemented that.
Paul, hold on a second. That's amazing to hear you say the quintessential Stone song, because a lot of people would say, no, I agree with you because I love Midnight Rambler. I would agree with you 100%. But just as a devil's advocate, I mean, what if, some people say Brown Sugar, that's the quintessential Stones. Honky Tonk Woman, Gimme Shelter. What about Midnight Rambler delivers that those other songs don't?
Oh, okay. That's a really good comment. And there are more, I would say, classic recordings and classic songs. What I find special about Midnight Rambler that makes it so unique is the drama of the song, the breakdown, Mick using all his different vocal techniques on it. He doesn't give a falsetto, but his speaking and just the Stones really bringing that dirty edge to rock and roll, especially from that 60s period. That's what makes it unique. as opposed to other rock at the time, I think. So I wouldn't necessarily consider it the most classic Stones song and recording, but it's certainly one of them that I would consider quintessential and special about the Stones, and in right up near the very top there for sure.
My favorite quote Keith said about the song was, "I wrote that song for Mick." You know, and you listen to it and you go, God, that's beautiful. Of course he did. And no one else could sing that song, perform that song for all the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, there's other songs that be covered and they're just, great songcraft, but like I said, the leeringness of it, the whole theme of the song is very special and it's not a song that the Beatles would have written for the Stones. Like I was saying, something to that effect. It's not from the classic blues canon, like we talked about with Willie Dixon and stuff. It's unique to what the Stones can do super well.
All right, beautiful. Continue on.
From the 70s, my favorite Stones album, Sticky Fingers and Bitch, to me is just he's tired. It's such a great distillation of mixed character. He's tired, but he's jittery and he's moving, and the guitar riff on that song is amazing. And then when the horns come in, you're getting that big blues influence. It just really rises. You don't think the song is going to get any bigger, but it just keeps pushing forward. Fantastic.
It's a great studio track. How do you feel about them doing it live?
I like I mentioned before, being able to see Bobby Keys with them live is very special. With them doing it live, I have seen them 40 Licks, I think they did a version. You really need, the mix is so important for something like that because you're having so many layers to it, and there's that big strong vocal, so that makes it difficult to do. But like the studio recording for it is really where it's at.
It's impeccable. Lovely. Okay, 80s. I can't wait to hear the rest of this list.
Well, yeah, I'm looking for it right here. I should have Dirty Work. Anyway, Dirty Work is really cool. And Steve Lillywhite, who produced that album, or I guess technically co-produced that album with the Glimmer Twins, right? He lives out in Asia, and I've talked with him, and I think that's an underrated album. I think that it's not their worst album of the 80s. It's not my favorite Stones album. It obviously is touching some of the tropes of 80s hard rock and metal with the gang vocals and some of just the synthy sounds to it. But I definitely wanted to include one Keith lead vocal in my top 5, and so I went with Sleep Tonight.
Nice.
I think the sort of gang vocal aspect of it, it doesn't feel natural always, but when the theme is sleep, it kind of gives it that sort of ephemeral effect. And having Tom Waits on the backing vocals as part of that gang there too, I think that, yeah, it's really one of Keith's best solo efforts. And I really am a big fan of solo Keith and stuff. To my knowledge, I'm a big fan of your channel. The stories of people starting fanzines and then becoming official Stones magazine writers is really, really important. But I haven't heard you talk too much about some of the side projects and different efforts. I'm a huge fan of A Stone Alone, the sessions that Keith did when he thought he was going to go to jail in Canada for drug possession. And so a lot of them is just him on the piano, churning out tunes. That's really one of my favorite Stones related releases ever. So I'm a big fan of solo Keith, and of course the Expensive Winos and the Wingless Angels, just fantastic stuff. But Sleep Tonight is a dirty sounding song. You just imagine a guy staying up all night trying to sleep, but he can't. The gang vocals come in. It's really fantastic. One of the best songs in that album.
Absolutely. It's a gem. A lot of people will say that is the keeper of the album for them, along with One Hit to the Body. Those two are some nice tracks there. Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
90s.
Yeah, there we go. One hit to the body. I got that one around.
Ah, great. Oh, nice.
Yeah, Spin Records, and that's fun for the '90s. From the album Stripped,
Oh,
they
okay.
so this is a you talked about different versions of the songs with Bitch and the live version. I really love the acoustic version they do for the Spider and the Fly.
Ah,
I
yeah.
think that really shows the maturing of their sound. I'm not a big fan of the original one. It feels a little chintzy, a little up and
A little
down, a
thin.
little light, and the leeringness of the Spider that Mick is able to convey in the '90s version is much, much stronger.
Yeah, she was thrifty. She looked about 50.
50. Yeah, he changes the lyrics a bit. He makes it. Yeah, he definitely matures it, but he's still very much the Spider Predator there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I love that album so much. The audio fidelity on that album is to me butter to my ears. I love all the acoustic sounds on it, and those tracks, "Spider and the Fly," "I'm Free,"
Yeah,
recorded in the Tokyo studio of was it Sony? I forget which, Universal, I guess. I don't know, but beautiful.
yeah, yeah. Like I really love a couple tracks on that, and that's just a great improvement of the songs. Like a Rolling Stones on there, that's okay. There's a couple other things, but the Spider and the Fly is great.
Nice choice, beautiful choice.
And for the aughts, I went with a track from Blue and Lonesome. Everybody knows about My Good Thing with Eric Clapton on the slide guitar, right? Doing that great lead. And I love other Stones' recent work as well, but this to me is great. I mean, Stones going back to their roots, doing the blues. It's just and just the attitude of it is, Mick is best when he's portraying not completely a sympathetic character, and that sort of paranoia, like everybody knows, is kind of a paranoid thing, but it's a good thing. Like there's still some braggadocious attitude in it that really makes it great.
That album, for whatever reason, it took me a while to really click with it, and when it did, I fell in love with it. And of course, now it is the last full studio album with Charlie Watts, and could that not have been a more perfect, way to, top that whole thing?
Yeah, like I mean, the Stones doing blues is great. That one did hit me really strongly, and I remember there was on their last kind of go around tour, there was video of Mick and Keith just on acoustic guitars. I think Keith was on acoustic and Mick just singing like that half of Stripped. I mean, to me, that would be an excellent next effort from the Stones as well, especially since the Steve Jordan is great, but it's not Charlie Watts, and just being able for them to do kind of their roots thing, like a new version of Stripped, is something that I would love to hear. But
Oh,
whatever it is,
yeah,
Stones, yeah.
of course it would. I mean, just to hear the core members as much as possible and just them, that
Yeah.
would be just beautiful for us.
Yeah, they did that. They did the COVID session too, one of those big group efforts where they recorded just separately and stuff. And that was just fantastic as well. I know Mick likes to really look forward and he wants the things to be on the cutting edge. And even Doom and Gloom is great, which has elements like of that as well, which I guess is a little older now, but still more recent in their catalog.
2012, can you
Yeah,
believe
oh
it?
my gosh, wow. And it's great here seeing that show up in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
And
right.
well, yeah. So that's great. But them just Keith on acoustic guitar and Mick singing, to me, that's home run.
Okay, so you gave us our like top 5 Stones tracks, but I understand
Yeah.
you have another top 5 list
I
of
love a
like
top
kind of
5.
covers.
Yes. So this is my Stones adjacent list. This is covers, versions, something that's not on a Rolling Stones album. I love a top 5 list, Justin. You got to understand this. This
They're
is how
very
I roll.
handy.
This is the GT Bitches. Now, this is a Rolling Stones-esque band, New York Dolls, kind of glam rock band from Jinan, Shandong province. I DJ the Nanjing Punk Festival. I do that every year. They played a couple years ago, and I picked up their CD, which features a cover of Brown Sugar. And so you won't find this thing anywhere. I think they only put this out on tour. It features mostly covers and a few originals, and they played it great. One thing I'll mention is that we love Mick Jagger. I shouldn't need to say that, but one thing is he's always funny when he talks competition with other bands. He always says one of two things. It's really funny. If the band has a lead singer and guitarist and the lead singer dances, he's like, oh, they're just doing the Rolling Stones, whatever, right? But if they don't have that, they're like, oh, I'm not interested in that. They're not doing rock and roll. So it's a no-win situation with Mick Jagger and doing those things. Either they're imitating the Rolling Stones
or they're boring.
Not interesting enough. They're not exciting enough. They're boring. Right. Yeah. So I definitely want
Keith is even worse with his rubrics of how he judges bands.
Yeah, they're really tough. So that's number one. The GT bitches out of Jinan, Shandong, China, Rolling Stones. I did a search. This is the best one I can find. Hey, I'm a big hip hop fan. De La Soul, Say No Go, samples the drums from Honky Tonk Woman with a cowbell on there. So there's a Honky Tonk Woman gets sampled a lot for its drums. It's got that great open drums, and also the Ike and Tina Turner cover of it. Those drums get sampled a lot. This is classic hip hop, rock and roll breakbeats. De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising, one of the great hip hop albums, lots of samples, and the Stones are on there. So even if you're not a rock and roll guy, you're getting some doses of the Stones anyway. So there you go.
Good find.
You interviewed my man Sugar Blue, who we're bringing out to Mongolia. I got to mention this, and this is a tragedy that this track right here is not on streaming. It's not available to buy. This is the disco version of Miss You, which features a longer harmonica solo by Sugar Blue, more guitar. That's such a slinky, great track, and it is a disco track. Getting the full 12-inch version to me is essential. My favorite part about this, here's a good party game for all you Rolling Stones fans. You know, it has the classic Mick Jagger call with the Puerto Rican girls are dying to meet you, which is great. That's such a Mick Jagger thing to do. But on the disco version, you get the extended conversation. And to me, it's hilarious because it goes on longer than you expect. So when you're having your next Rolling Stones play date, or when they have the Hang Fire conference, fan meetup or whatever, this is what you're going to do, Justin. Pay attention. You do the Mick Jagger extended phone call version. You go, hello, this is Mick. You got to do it in a bad British accent. Hello, this is Mick. No, not Mick Jones, Mick Jagger. He's like, oh, can you hear me? No. Oh, I got to go in the other room. You got to extend it out. You got to make the full conversation. The longer, the better, the more obscure and ridiculous. That's your Rolling Stones Miss You disco version party game.
The operator on the other line. A phone call for Mr. Jagger.
Yes, yeah. No reception. No reception. Yeah, like
oh no.
Yeah. The longer, the better. At the when the Hang Fire has your fan conference meetup, you're gonna have people line up on stage doing their best extended disc. Yes, real. I'm gonna hold you to that. I want to go to that.
You're invited. You're invited. You're gonna DJ.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, so that's number 3. Number 4. This year I went to Russia to DJ. I went to Siberia, and on July 11th, I DJed a place called Mahjong. I was spinning records, and I was there with a local legend named DJ Terminator. This is in the city of Irkutsk. DJ Terminator. Just every city should have its good local legend DJ, and he was a complete gentleman, really nice. And we were talking about music that he liked. And he gave me a record, and it is the Melodia, which is the Soviet record label, Stars on 45 double disc, which features the Stars on 45 Rolling Stones medley. So even in Siberia, I found the Rolling Stones. I was given the record, which just makes it special to be in my collection. So I wanted to show this off. This is the Russian version. It's got the Stevie Wonder. Check that out. So cool.
Beautiful.
Soviet pressing.
What year
Rolling
is that?
82 this was put out. It
Beautiful.
could,
Wow.
even though this shows it's Melodia, there were a lot of bootlegs even of the Soviet label, so it's a little hard to be 100% certain, but Stars on 45, Rolling Stones in Siberia, where they send all the prisoners and everything else. You will even find the Rolling Stones there.
Thank God. Everywhere.
Okay. Here's my last one. Thank you so much for your patience, Justin, with all
I
this
love it.
nonsense.
These are hidden gems.
So, one of my favorite things in music is when someone kind of does a tribute song in the style of a person, and then that person who's being given a tribute then covers that song. So, for example, you have the new vaudeville band did a kind of a Rudy Vallon pastiche of a song called Winchester Cathedral. Frank Sinatra did a crappy version of it too. The new vaudeville version was a big hit. But what was really cool was Rudy Valley, who was a big star in the late 20s, then did his cover version of the song, Winchester Cathedral. That's an example of what I'm talking about. There is a Stones version of this too. Of course, there's the famous Rolling Stone. Well, I don't want to say famous, but you Stones heads are watching this. One of the Stones' earliest written songs is I'd Rather Be with the Boys. I'd much rather be with the boys, which is very much done in a kind of girl group style. Well, in 2016, Ronnie Spector, who Keith maybe had some relations with, and of course has the surname of Phil Spector, who played on Little by Little and was a Stones associate there for a while. We don't need to get into his later career in life as well. But 2016, Ronnie Spector did an album called English Heart. Yeah, English Heart. And she does a version called I'd Much Rather Be with the Girls.
Ah,
And
nice
it's
little
credited
like
to the one
sequel.
else. Yeah, so, and the original is done in a very girl group kind of style, and the sort of theme of it very much fits that to a T. So hearing Ronnie Spector do it to me is perfection. It's fantastic. And so Keith gets the co-write credit, and Ronnie Spector doing it. So it's kind of a cover, a re-version of it. And so that, sir, is my top 5 Stones adjacent list. And I got more for next time, too. We've got all sorts of milkshake disco version stuff. But we're good for now, I
Fantastic.
think.
Oh, wow. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg.
That's beautiful. Great list. I love it. Before we go, Brian, I would love to play here a segment I call Crossfire, which I've played a couple times with people where I ask 5 questions, rapid fire. You just name the answer that comes to your mind. There are no wrong answers here. So would be fun to get your thoughts on these. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think I might know the answer to this one. But most underrated Stones album?
Well, I guess if you go say underrated, I would definitely say Dirty Work. Because I don't think it's their worst effort. And I really like that you could feel the anger in that album, and they weren't getting
Absolutely.
along. And I really like some of the tracks on there. So there you go.
Yeah, you'll be back to talk about it next year because I will be doing a lot of content on Dirty Work because I agree with you. It's time to push back on this whole idea. It's the Stones' worst album. It's such an outdated legacy fan point of view that I think most people now know that's ridiculously overblown. So I can't wait for all that happen next
Winning
year.
Ugly is great. Fight is great. Like
I
really
love
like
Winning Ugly. I love Winning Ugly. No, it's a great album.
It is when it leans into its unseemly production bit. Like when it feels ugly and it sounds ugly and the theme is ugly, it works for me. It really does.
Best Stones ballad.
Oh, Moonlight Mile, maybe. I think, is that ballady enough for you?
Yeah,
I would certainly say
that's
so.
great.
That's definitely. I'll go with that.
That's a good one. Great one. Favorite Stones music video.
Music video. Well, the first one. Well, speaking of Dirty Work, the first one Um, like I really see, like I like the Ralph Bakshi music video for "She Moves to the Left" and
Harlem
uh,
Shuffle.
Harlem Shuffle. See, but that's not their best. I don't like that tune as much.
You're
But I'm a
right.
big fan of the animation for that. But
Yeah.
music video, huh? I get, you know,
Waiting on a Friend,
waiting on a
Far Away.
friend.
I
You
mean,
have
we'll
the
even count the ones where they're just performing the song.
performing,
Obviously,
like I
yeah.
think "Start Me Up," you know, when he's got the leotard there. I guess just the straight up view. Actually, you know what? Like let's turn it and say that, you know, I think that for a rock and roll circus, I think that the Who really kind of steal the show. But there is something really cool about seeing the Stones in that era, even with the face paint and the weird things going on. So I'm just going to say Rock and Roll Circus and
Okay.
one of the tunes from there. Yeah.
Nice. Here's one. One song that you skip every time.
Well, let's say that there are some good versions of Harlem Shuffle. I don't think the Stones really nail it there.
Hmm.
So I would definitely say that one. Yeah, I'm a much bigger fan of the original, and of course, famous horns, which have been sampled a lot. And the Stones, yeah, the Stones have had songs sampled, but that definitely isn't one of them from their version of that. So,
I agree.
okay, Harlem Shuffle.
And last but not least, who is the most stylish Stone?
Um, Gosh, you know, you have the Keith Pirate thing. You have the London suits from Charlie Watts. Mick has
Hmm.
gone in and out of things. And you just love when Mick comes out in a jacket or something, and within 10 seconds he throws it down. It's like, did you really have to put the effort into putting it on there? Or the football, the early '80s football
Sure. The
shoulders.
tights.
Yeah, that wasn't so hot. So since we talked about Charlie Watts before, let's say Charlie Watts in the suits and keeping it nice like that,
Elegant. This was
elegant.
great.
Absolutely,
Brian, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Some Fans.
absolutely. Thank you very much, John.